Let's sew the arms. Sew the arms on the side with the eyes. Then, count from the top to the 8th to 9th rows. First, find the 8th to 9th rows. This is the first row. Above these 2 rows. First, insert the needle. Find the position. Then, position it 3 stitches away from the eye. Here, it's exactly 3 stitches. Here, take out the crocheted arm. Thread the yarn end into the sewing needle. Flatten the fabric. Then, thread the yarn end to the top of the arm. We need to leave the yarn for later sewing the heart. Please use the same method to sew the other arm. This is how it looks after both arms are sewn. For these 2 arms, we only need 1 yarn end. It's enough to use it to sew the heart. We will weave the other yarn end through the fabric a few times. Thread the other end of the yarn into the sewing needle. Next, let's sew the heart. Insert the yarn end into the first row of the arm. Then take out the crocheted heart. Be careful not to cover the eyes. Find the position. First, secure one side. After securing one side, thread it to the other side. Once secured, weave the yarn end through the fabric a few times. The heart is now sewn. Next, let's sew the legs. After adding a small amount of stuffing to the leg, sew it onto the bottom. We found the 8 rows that are symmetrical in the middle. This is the 8th row. Next, here are 2 positions that are relatively symmetrical. Then insert the needle here to sew on a leg. Thread the yarn end from the leg into the sewing needle. Move down a little. Don't go too far forward. Weave in the yarn end after sewing. Fasten off. This completes the sewing of one leg. Sew the other leg at a position 8 stitches apart. Symmetrical on both sides. Sew the other leg here. Please sew the other leg on your own. This is what it looks like after both legs are sewn. At a suitable position behind the front legs, sew on the remaining 2 legs. The sewing method for the remaining 2 legs is the same. The sewing method for each leg is the same. It's just that the needle entry position is a bit different. Please sew the remaining 2 legs in the same way. The legs are sewn. Next, let's sew the lid. Take out the chain in the lid. Thread the yarn end into the sewing needle. Then insert the needle between the 2nd and 3rd rows near the edge of the lid. Pull it to the middle. Then do the same with the other piece. Thread into the sewing needle. Then, thread it through the other side of the lid. Between 2 to 3 rows, pull it over that chain stitch. Take out the dumpster. First, find the position. Leave 2 rows empty at the edge. Find the position. Pull it out here. Tie a slip knot. Then fasten off. Soak the yarn end into the fabric. Once you poke it in, one end is connected, the other end is handled in the same way. Then tie a knot with the 2 yarn ends. Then poke the yarn end into the fabric. Everyone can complete it on their own. This way, one piece of the lid is sewn. You can flip it backward. Then the other piece is done in the same way. Sew it together. This way both pieces of the lid are sewn. The sewing method for these 2 pieces of lid is the same. It's just that this piece is lifted, because we need to sew the flame on the side where the lid is lifted. Take out the flame number 1. Thread the yarn end into the sewing needle. Sew on the side of the dumpster where the lid opens. The other side comes next. Then sew the yarn end into the fabric. Then, fasten off. This way, one piece of flame is sewn. Next, we will sew flame number 2. Sew flame number 2 the back of flame number 1. Weave in the yarn end after sewing. Fasten off. This way, the flames are sewn. Next, we take out the black yarn from the material kit. Thread the black yarn into the sewing needle. Insert the needle at any position. Embroider a V-shaped mouth on row 5 counted from the top down. At the position between the two eyes, embroider a V-shaped mouth. Pull the two yarn ends through the same spot. Tie a knot with the two yarns. Insert the yarn end into the fabric. The mouth is completed. This is how a large dumpster with love heart is made. Everyone can refer to the same method to make the other large dumpster in a different color. 2 large dumpsters are completed.